Yeah, man.
Let's switch this up quite swiftly because we got a few topics today.
Yes.
Israel Adesanya. Now, Noble, I like this guy. You know, he's a star. Israel Adesanya is a star, Noble. Trust me. Like, he's a real star.
Remember I was telling you about him from way back, sibling?
You did, 100%. All these, man, you've showed me about all of them. Even Paddy, I think you sent me the first video of him. Yeah, Israel, I like the brother to the point where I'm subscribed to his YouTube channel. I like my man just as a human being from what he shows. I always questioned his motive behind pushing that he's Chinese so much. I always questioned why he's so, but I just thought maybe, you know, he lived in China for a bit and he got treated good, so he's kind of repping them. But seeing him with the flag, now watching this, what's his name? Dricus
Du Plessis.
Yeah, Dricus Du Plessis. I did listen to what he said when he said, "I am the original African, eh? I breathe African air." How's that South African accent, man? So he's like, "Yeah, I'm the original African." So I'm like, that brother's a bit cheeky still. What's he on about? You can't say you're more African than black, man. You get what I mean? But let's not make it race. You know, let's not make it race. The facts are, Du Plessis did grow up in South Africa. You know what I mean? He does trade in Africa and A, B, or C. I don't really know how hard them free African kings, that's what they call them, the free African kings, is it? I don't know how hard they were pushing the motherland. What I will say is this, though. Me personally, this is just my opinion. I could be wrong, Noble, tell me if I'm wrong. But me personally, I understand what Izzy's saying. Because I'm just saying, when that whole white yardie debate was going on, listen, yes, you came and you lived there for a bit. And I don't even care if you were born there and spent your first 20 years there. You're still white, you know what I mean? You're still white. Black is the predominant race in Jamaica. That's just how it goes. It doesn't matter what no one wants to say. Now, when you look at Africa, I understand, but them South Africans were there. Let's not even get into the historical thing. But they weren't there doing good things. They were there taking advantage of the place. You know what I mean? So
say that again. You breaking up a little.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so them South African mans, they were there taking advantage of the land, disrespecting the land. Most of them men are from Holland and they're Europeans. Dutch, yeah, the men are from Holland and Sweden, and I don't need to go into the history of the things that were going on there. So I'm with Izzy on this one. I'm sorry. I'm with Izzy on this thing. You're not more African than them. You're not. You're just not. Now, Izzy's use of the N-word. Is he breaking up still?
Yeah, man.
Oh, damn. Hold on. Are we now? We good now?
I'm catching like every other word and thing.
How we now? It's running nice from this side still.
It might be my side then. All right then. Apologies. I understand where you're coming from, and what you've said. See, there's always two sides to, or the truth, and then two opposing sides of the story. Yeah. So his statements on the surface, let's take out the historical elements of it. He's right. He hasn't left Africa, South Africa to be precise, and gone to AKA in Florida or gone to American Top Team or Kill Cliff or any of these different places. He's born probably 4, 5, 6 generations South African, Afrikaner as I think they call themselves. And he trains there and he's fighting in the UFC. So he's saying, yo, we got the 3 kings, yeah. One from Cameroon and the 2 of them from Nigeria. They don't actually live there anymore. So I'm going to be the one repping Africa who still trains here and still lives here. So from on that level, yeah, man, you're right. Yeah, man's gone to New Zealand. Usman went to Florida and done his wrestling thing and grew up there, etc., etc. Yeah, and, Francis Ngannou illegally went to Europe, done his thing, made his self the person he is today, kind of thing. We get that, yeah. But when we look below that surface and the way he said it, like it causes issues. It definitely causes issues because, as you say, when we look at the history and we look at his ancestors, what are we talking about? If we take a classic one, a German Shepherd, that's the breed of the dog, right?
Yeah,
And we breed German Shepherds in England, right?
we do.
And do we call them English Shepherds or do we call them
No,
German
they're
Shepherds?
still German Shepherds anywhere they go.
Yeah. Any single way they go. A Chinese person migrates from 1900s and they come to England to live, just like in the Windrush era, 1950s, 60s, our foreparents came over to the UK from the Caribbean. We have the citizenship of being British, right?
Yeah.
But our lineage and heritage is Caribbean, and then we go back a bit further, we can say, yeah, our lineage goes back to Africa. This is very simple. This is very simple, and I think he was speaking, plain righteous advocate. He could be a wicked, evil person. He doesn't come across this way. So I think that he didn't necessarily formulate in his head how it would sound when he said it. I don't think he was necessarily saying, no, I'm the real African, man. You know what I mean? I don't care that you're black or not. Like, I'm the real African. I don't think he was coming on that level. I'm talking about what I've just laid out. He's got a passport that says he's South African. So from a nationalistic standpoint, we can tick that box. But when we look at the whole the whole situation, it's kind of questionable still. It's kind of questionable. Now, that unpacks that element of it. What I have an issue with, Mark,
Let's get into it, man.
The big, juicy issue is Israel Adesanya is Niger. He's Nigerian, yeah? Who resides in New Zealand. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because you were out there, right? And I know it's a new day, it's a growing year of 2023, but Africans or Ghanaians, Nigerians, they don't run around calling themselves Nigga or Nigger, do they, Mark?
They do not. They do not.
Okay. Yeah. So that unfortunate slur, which has been unfortunately embraced culturally and musically by, firstly, our siblings in the wilderness of North America, popularized it. Us in Europe and in the UK, again, took that on and said, we're going to take the ER off it and make it A, and this is now a term of endearment. Outside of that process, as you say, and as I speak to continental Africans, they don't use that. They don't use this kind of terminology. Musically, they'll repeat this, blah, 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 yo, da, da, da. But on a cultural standard level, they do not address each other by that. They do not throw that slur around like that. So for Israel, who I got a lot of respect for, and he's a very talented fighter, some of the things he does is quite cringy, I will say. To come into the cage as the champion, the reigning, defending UFC champion. The first part was beautiful, Mark. What's going on, my African brother? What's going on, my African brother? I loved it. I was like, yeah, man. He's using psychology. And then let's rewind a little bit before. This is the cringy part, but I get it because I'm down with the WWF. And a little bit of the WWE. He's there. Do you see him? He was there doing the wrestling shit. He was breathing through his nostrils. He was like, gazing at the cage and shit. You see that, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, check him out. He's building it up, okay. And then he jumps the cage. He's like, blah, blah, blah. He obviously speaks to Dana. Dana gives the thumbs up, like, yeah, let's do a face-off immediately. Dana normally says in every press conference, Mark, I don't make fights on the night.
Yep.
But yet, Du Plessis had an excellent performance. He was the underdog. I was so busy editing and doing all other stuff I've neglected to put some money on Mr. Du Plessis. I didn't realize he was that much of an underdog. I didn't expect him to win, but I always back the dogs. Always, I love an underdog, man. I love an underdog, and he had an excellent performance. Second round KO, from recollection, and they brought the champion in straight away. So who made the deal? Who made the fight on the night? Was it the president, Dana White? Yeah. So he's coming in, my African brother. Then he's on about my NIGGA, and he must have said it about 15 or 16 times. I was quite shocked.
Let me jump in, Noble.
Okay.
Because I can see you're disgusted and rightly so. But let me just try to look at a different side of this thing. Mm-hmm. Izzy, I think Izzy was making him know he can't say that. So like, yo, you're claiming this African air, real African champ, but you can't actually say that word. Now we know that the African American culture runs deep worldwide.
Yes.
Their culture, you go to any of these black countries, yeah, and the African American culture is still dominant. Mm-hmm. Like even when you go Africa and stuff, they're really into the Americans. Like whoever's the big artists in America are usually, even with the emergence of Afro beats and stuff, the Americans are still very, very, very popular. Mm-hmm. So when a lot of these Africans become famous and stuff, when they kind of do that crossover stuff, because Easy's crossed over differently, he's now doing a lot of like Americanized stuff, doing things that the Americans do. So I think he jumped in and tried to make my man know you can't say that. But the one thing I do agree with Du Plessis on is that you were repping China. You were wearing China flags out, and you were wearing actual China flags, knowing especially like during COVID and stuff, like the disrespect that even they were showing to us over there. You know what I mean? And he was repping them hard, fully, and that's why at first I'm going to tell you the truth. That's why at first I didn't even take no notice of Israel Adesanya. And when you look at like who he parades around as his partner and stuff, I said, this is just it was like an old skin folk and your kinfolk type vibe. I'm like, this is just a man who's grew up privileged and he don't really care about. But then I've listened to him in certain interviews and said, hold on a second, my man's actually about something, you know. Maybe he got lost along the way, but I can't stand against I agree with you, the use of the N-word was very excessive and I wouldn't have done that. But I can't stand against him over that other guy, man. No way. And it's not even about race, but the apartheid stuff and all of that in South Africa. And that's South Africa is just a complete different world within itself. Exactly. Like, it's mad. I'd love to actually go there one day. But what they've had to endure at the hands of the Europeans, like, no European can claim that place. I'm telling you straight. Even when I see the football team and the rugby team and all that, when you know the history of what them man were there doing, then your mind kind of changes a little bit. So he is a bit cheeky. Because it's like even with white, like, coming off topic slightly, I was watching, there's a white guy I think he's from Bristol. His name's M. The Artist. Okay. Now, my man's getting interviewed in Yard and all that, and I'm like, you know how much dancehall art is UK based that they would never promote over there. But this brother who's actually a parody act, it is parody, because if I start rapping today, me, Mark from Erdington, I start rapping and I put on an act and say, yo man, I'm gonna big up all my dolls on the streets, dog. People are gonna look and be like, yo, you're a clown? You're not even from there, so putting on an accent, that's a parody. That's a parody, but what I'm trying to say is this is what's been lost. This is what's gone. So yeah, man, Izzy, I'm backing him all the way, but I do agree with you on the use of the N-word. Nah, don't do that. But I think he's doing it to kind of make my man know, yo, you can't say that. Is that fight been made?
Apparently, well, this is another. See, this segues back into the first part. What I was talking about, the Dana White privilege. Israel has the same thing as well. He calls every fight that he wants. Every single fight that he wants. Now, there's supposed to be a Sydney card in September, so they're turning this guy around real quick to fight on the Sydney card because obviously they want Israel to be on there as the main event.
Yeah. So
it's like you pick it, man. And again, I from a business standpoint, of course, what brings in the money? What's going to do the pay-per-view buys and all them kind of things? Of course, Israel is a massive star, man. He's an absolutely massive, massive star. I personally, I don't like Izzy anymore. I liked the Izzy when I didn't know as much about him and he wasn't talking as much. I love his and even his performances. You go back and watch early Izzy and watch how safe he fights now.
The only thing I'll say, I don't like the fact that he's tried to close that fight off with that Pereira dude. I think they need to run that back as well, you know.
Of course they do, man, because he's only won one fight in the series.
Yeah, they need to run it back. I don't get why he's like, I've done with that now. Nah. You need to run that back. But my man can't make the weight, apparently, so.
You see what I'm saying? You see, this is the whole... This is what fight promoters do, you know. You said you hate Frank Warren. Dana White is you know, he says whatever he wants to say. So he's the one who's saying, oh yeah, he's moving up to 205. He can't make the weight. He's mad. He's definitely big for the weight class, of course. There's loads of weight bullies, man. There's loads of them. Paul Acosta, he's got to move up to 205, man. He's missing weight and this and that. Hamzat Chimaev, he's supposed to be fighting at 170 again. I thought they're supposed to be moving up to 185 because...
Yeah, he's a weight bully, he is. He's massive, you know.
Yeah, huge.
That Chimaev dude, but I'll tell you the truth, though, like, I want him to jump in with Rocky so Rocky can just quiet my man down, man. Because, like, when I watched the Gilbert Burns fight again, you know, Noble, I watched it in Africa.
Yes.
That could have went either way still. What you saying to me? Am I wrong? Because I look at that fight and that Burns had mad moments, man, where he could have took him out. But yeah. I think that fight has matched up Burns' career. I think it took everything out of him.
Well, you seen how he's fought since?
Well, he got dominated by that Bilal Muhammad, but then again, he got thrown in too quick. Like, I think the turnaround's too fast in MMA. The turnaround's too quick. Like, even what they're trying to do to your boy... What's his name? Aljo. Man. They don't want him to be the champ.
Of course not.
They don't want him to be the champ. Look how they're trying to throw him back in. They want him back in straight away. Because really, they would like that Sean O'Malley to beat him.
Yes. He's more marketable, apparently. Shit.
You ever interviewed him, O'Malley?
Nah, I wasn't on the O'Malley wave. I mean, I recognized he was a good fighter and stuff. And one of my... brethren, he doesn't do MMA anymore, but he used to have an MMA podcast. He interviewed him when he was on his come up, and I was going to be fair, I was going to do it, but I didn't end up doing it. I didn't end up doing it still. He's got an interesting character. I don't necessarily don't like him. He's just very, very confident, borderline conceited, if you really peep it. Very talented fighter, man. Very talented fighter. Again, you could call him a weight bully. You can call Aljo a weight bully.
Yeah, well, Aljo Noble, yeah. They actually had an article. Sorry, people, I know the levels are peaking. I'm trying to monitor it as we go along. They actually had an article showing how much weight he gained 24 hours after the fight. And Noble, my man looked like a different person.
Exactly.
Like that, yeah. These men are weight bullies, man. They're proper. I think there should be I think that's such a dangerous sport. I think there should be some sort of ruling to what you walk. I think when you get into the sport, how you walk around, because fighting weight and walk around weight is two different things. There's a lot of men who walk around as heavyweights because all they do is eat junk and don't work out.
Yeah.
But if they really were to eat properly and work out, they'd probably drop 10, 15 pounds. Probably even way more than that.
More than that, they'd probably drop about if they eat. Look, you've got people who walk around heavyweights and they'll fight at middleweight mark.
Yeah, 100%. Especially in MMA.